Okay, so today we learned about the Pythagorean theorem, and a little bit more than that. Pythagorean theorem works only on right triangles, and so what you do with that would be you take the legs, okay, and the legs meet at the right angle, okay. So a lot of kids are like, I don't know which ones are the legs. Okay, you have two legs, they meet at your tush. These two legs meet at the right angle, okay. And so the thing is, you take one leg squared plus the other leg squared, and that equals the hypotenuse squared. So this is a leg, this is a leg, and this is hypotenuse. And you've learned over the years that if you add two things that are positive and they equal another one, well, each of those things that are added up have to be smaller, individually than the one on the right side. So both A and B have to be smaller than C. And so, yeah, A and B have to be the legs, and C is going to be the hypotenuse. And so as we do this, you've got to mark to say, okay, which ones are the legs? So if this is a leg, oopsie, I did not mean to use it quite so bright, but it's a leg and that's a leg because they meet at the right angle. You're going to do 4 squared plus 6 squared is equal to x squared. Okay, the hypotenuse is x. The hypotenuse is always across from the biggest angle, which is going to be the right angle in a right triangle. And so it's going to be 16 plus 36. Do PEMDAS, square them, and then add them together and set them equal to x squared. And then if you get this, you get 52 is equal to x squared. How do you solve a quadratic? Well, you square root both sides. So square root both sides, and then you get x. And the square root of 52 isn't very nice, so we're looking for a perfect square factor, so you go into it. If there's a couple, go with the biggest one. Square root of 4 times 13 is going to be 52, so it'd be 2 squared of 13. So x is equal to 2 squared of 13, and that would be units, okay? Always label your dimensions if possible. Okay, the next one. The legs here are going to be these guys that meet at the right angle, so x and 12. So don't fall in a ditch. Let's do it. Let's take x squared and plus it to 12 squared. So it equals to 20 squared. So you get x squared plus 144 is equal to 400. Minus 144 from both sides to solve it. You get x squared is equal to, dun-dun-dum, 256. If you square root both sides, square root of 256 is nice. X is actually equal to 16 units. So that is called a Pythagorean triple when all three sides are nice. They're whole numbers. And so it's kind of a special thing. Now, the next one is about a picture frame. It's kind of weird, has friends, so make sure you listen to this very carefully. Now, the dimensions of the frame, they don't tell you, but they tell you the ratio of those dimensions. So the dimensions are 3 to 1. That means they have a common ratio, common factor by which you would multiply by to get to the actual dimensions. So this side is 3 times a certain factor, and this one is going to be 1 times that same factor, okay? And they tell us the dimension of the diagonal is going to be 12. So if you remember it's a right triangle, you're going to go 3x, and that's squared, plus 1x. Put it in parentheses because otherwise you just square the x. So 3 and x both get squared, 1 and x both get squared, and set it equal to 12 squared. 3x squared. How do you square something? Well, you times it by itself. So you take 3x times 3x again, you get 9x squared. 1x times 1x, or x times x, is going to be x squared, is equal to 144. 9x squared plus 1x squared is 10x squared. Okay, how do you solve that? Well, I'm going to rewrite it up here. If you've got 10x squared is equal to 144, divide both sides by 10. You get x squared is equal to 14.4. Because this is a word problem, we're going to take the square root of it and use our calculator. And let me do that with my calc. If you take the square root of 14, the square root button's on the left, so you do second square root 14.4, and you're going to get 3.79, so about 3.8. And that's going to be centimeters. So that means if you go back over here, 1 times 3.8, if x is 3.8, this will be 3.8 centimeters on this side. And if you do 3.8 times 3, you're going to get 11.4 centimeters on this side. Okay, so that's going to be what this frame will look like. All right, I'm going to pause a second.